Fiscal policy in India forms the bedrock of the nation's economic governance, guiding the country through various stages of growth, development, and challenges. It acts as a vital instrument in achieving macroeconomic stability, ensuring inclusive development, and addressing socio-economic inequalities. By controlling government expenditure, taxation, and public debt, fiscal policy determines how the state intervenes in the economy to promote sustainable growth and stability. In this article, we are going to cover fiscal policy in India, its meaning, objectives, instrument types, and cyclical nature of fiscal policy in India, along with important concepts that shape India's economic policy framework. Fiscal policy in India. Fiscal policy refers to the policy decision of the government concerning public expenditure, taxation, and public borrowing. It is the mechanism through which the government adjusts its spending and taxation levels to influence a nation's overall economic activity. The concept is rooted in Keynesian economics, which argues that during periods of economic instability like recessions or inflation, government intervention through fiscal measures can help restore balance. For instance, increasing spending or cutting taxes can boost demand during a slowdown, while reducing spending or raising taxes can help cool inflationary pressures. Thus, fiscal policy acts as both a stabilizing and development tool, shaping India's economic trajectory and ensuring that growth translates into social welfare. Fiscal policy in India objectives. The objectives of India's fiscal policy are wide-ranging and interlinked, reflecting both developmental and stabilizing roles. Mobilization of resources to channel financial resources into socially necessary and productive sectors such as infrastructure, education, and health. Economic stability to counter cyclical fluctuation and maintain macroeconomic balance. Price stability to control inflationary and deflationary trends and ensure stable purchasing power. Sustained growth rate to maintain a consistent and balanced rate of economic growth. Balance of payment equilibrium to prevent excessive dependence on foreign capital and ensure external stability. Raising living standards to improve public welfare through employment generation and social development. Reducing inequality to minimize disparities in income and wealth through progressive taxation and redistributive policies. Fiscal policy in India instrument. Fiscal policy operates mainly through three major instruments that includes public expenditure, taxation, and public borrowing, along with other supplementary measures. Public expenditure. This includes all government spending on goods, services, infrastructure, and welfare programs. Role by altering expenditure levels, the government can directly affect economic activity. Example, during slowdowns, higher public spending on rural employment or infrastructure creates jobs and boosts demand. Taxation. Taxation is one of the most powerful fiscal tools that influences disposable income, investment, and savings. Reducing taxes, increase consumption and investment, spurring growth. Increasing taxes helps curb inflation and reduce excessive demand. Public borrowing. When expenditures exceed revenues, government borrow internally from citizens, banks, or externally from foreign institutions. Purpose to fund infrastructure, welfare schemes, or deficit financing instrument. Bonds, treasury bills, national savings certificates. Other fiscal measures. Additional tools include price and wage control, subsidy reforms, encouragement of production and exports, regulation of consumption through duties and levies. Difference between fiscal policy and monetary policy. Fiscal policy and monetary policy have the following differences. Both policies work in coordination. Fiscal policy ensures demand creation and developmental spending, while monetary policy maintains liquidity and price stability. Fiscal policy in India types. Depending on economic conditions and objective, fiscal policy can be classified into three types. Expansionary fiscal policy. Mechanism involve higher government spending or lower taxes to stimulate demand. Objective to reduce unemployment and boost GDP growth when used during recessions or economic slowdowns. caution may lead to inflation if demand exceeds supply. Contractionary tight fiscal policy mechanism reduces spending or increases taxes to lower aggregate demand. Objective to control inflation and reduce fiscal deficit when used during periods of high inflation and overheating economy. Caution may increase unemployment temporarily. Neutral fiscal policy mechanism keeps government revenue and expenditure balanced. Objective to maintain economic stability without stimulating or restricting growth when used when the economy is in equilibrium. Cyclicity of fiscal policy. Fiscal policy often responds to the phase of the business cycle expansion, peak contraction, and flow. Its direction of influence gives rise to two types of cyclic behavior. Counter-cyclical fiscal policy moves opposite to the business cycle. During a slowdown, the government increases spending and reduces taxes. Expansionary. During a boom, it cuts spending or raises taxes. Contractionary. Example: India's fiscal stimulus packages during the 2008 global financial crisis and COVID-19 pandemic. Pro-cyclical fiscal policy moves in the same direction as the business cycle, expansionary in booms and contractionary during recessions, considered risky as it may deepen economic volatility and social distress. Fiscal policy in India. Key related concept. Fiscal deficit. The fiscal deficit is the difference between the government's total expenditure and total non-borrowed revenue in a financial year. It is expressed as a percentage of GDP and serves as a key indicator of fiscal health. A high deficit implies greater borrowing, which may increase future debt burden. Fiscal consolidation refers to the process of improving government finance by reducing fiscal deficit through prudent spending, better revenue collection, and structural reforms. India's Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act aims to institutionalize fiscal discipline and reduce deficit sustainably. Fiscal drag. Fiscal drag occurs when inflation or income growth pushes taxpayer into higher tax brackets without a real increase in purchasing power, reducing disposable income and demand. This phenomena often occurs under progressive taxation systems. Fiscal neutrality. When the government's taxing and spending decisions are designed to have no net effect on overall demand. For example, if new welfare spending is exactly matched by equivalent tax revenue, the fiscal stance remains neutral. Crowding out effect. This theory suggests that excessive government borrowing or spending can reduce private investment. When the government borrows heavily, interest rates rise, making it costlier for businesses to borrow and invest. Pump priming. Pump priming refers to the government's deliberate effort to inject funds into a sluggish economy through public expenditure or tax incentive to stimulate growth. MLT was the first used during the Great Depression to describe Kenyan-style economic recovery measure. Economic stimulus. An economic stimulus package involves fiscal or monetary interventions aimed at reviving growth during a slowdown. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, India launched the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, comprising three tranches of stimulus measures to support businesses, workers, and vulnerable populations. Fiscal policy in India. Fiscal policy in India remains the government's most powerful economic instrument, balancing the dual objectives of growth and stability. It not only helps in managing inflation and unemployment but also plays a transformative role in achieving social equity and sustainable development. In recent years, India's fiscal strategy has evolved toward greater transparency, efficiency, and responsibility under frameworks like the FRBM Act, targeted subsidies, and digital reforms. Going forward, a well-calibrated fiscal policy complemented by effective monetary measures will continue to steer India towards inclusive growth, fiscal prudence, and long-term economic resilience.